What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out this Rugged Ridge sports rack fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators. Now, if you are looking for one of the easiest ways to add that custom pre-runner styling to your JT to make it stand out while also getting the function of a bed rack, this is going to be right up your alley. Now, this will be great whether you are looking for a unique way to create a custom lighting setup with a sporty chase rack look, the ability to mount up accessories in the rear, or both for off-roading adventures or just everyday life. One of the most notable features about this sports rack is the way that it contours to the back of the JT and the bed while still offering your bed crossbars to mount up gear, accessories, or whatever else you need when taking your JT off-road. Now, it's much more low profile than a larger bed rack if you prefer to keep a sleeker look, and the crossbars will be removable, offering you the flexibility to use your bed per usual if you'd like. Now, the side rails will slightly come out from the side of the bed, which is also going to offer you some outward protection, which is a bonus there. But one of the most custom features about this is the lighting. Now, this system, you can kind of see it from the bottom, will have 37 different holes for the ability to mount up and customize your accessory lighting setup, allowing your JT to stand apart from the rest and greatly increasing the function and the lighting performance of your rig. The rack will be made of a 2mm thick steel tube construction with a 2-inch outer diameter, making this thing strong and able to hold up to whatever adventure that you're taking your JT on, really. Now, this also has a really nice textured black powder coat finish on top to protect the steel underneath from rusting and any surface damage to avoid the steel from being exposed to the elements. This also does not require any drilling or modification in order to install it, working with and without the Trail Rail cargo system, making this a great option for everybody and being straightforward when it comes to the install process. This comes in around $1,025, and compared to other bed racks, this is going to be fairly average as far as a price is concerned. Now, while it is fairly average in price, it's definitely one of the choices in the category that is the most unique and is much more low profile than other bed racks if you don't want that bulky feel to the back of your truck, and again, you want options. Now, it's also got that old school pre-runner vibe and the ability to customize it to make it your own, which I think is well worth the investment if those features are what you're looking for out of your build. Install will be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Like I said, it is very straightforward to get this on. It is packaged very well, so it's going to take you a little bit to get it out of the box. However, all said and done, it should take you about an hour to get the job done. Now, at this point, we can head over to our shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get this onto your JT at home. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 10, a 13, and a 17mm socket, a 4, a 5, and a 6mm Allen key, a 10 and a 16mm wrench, and a pair of needle nose pliers. Hi everyone, today we're installing a sports rack on our Gladiator, so let's get started. Now, if you have the Trail Rail system installed on your truck, you can skip this first step that we're going to do. The only thing that you'll need to do is remove the end cap on your Trail Rail and slide in these nut plates, one for the front and one for the rear. Now, in our case, we do not have the Trail Rail system on our truck, so we're going to be using these supplied spacers from the kit. Now, the short one is going to go in the front, the longer one goes in the rear. And there's only one hole that we're using for the short spacer, and there's 2 for the rear. Now, one of the things that I found easier in trying to put in these M6 bolts with the flat washer, because it's kind of difficult to reach in there with your fingers, is just use a pair of needle nose pliers, gently grip the bolt itself, slide it in, and then you can put it through the hole in the back of the spacer. And then we have access to it from here so that we can tighten it down with our Allen key. So let's go ahead and get these installed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put our M6 bolt with a flat washer on it into our spacer for the front. And then using our 4mm Allen key, just go ahead and put that on the bolt to hold it in place while you're placing the spacer on the vehicle. Now, you'll notice that there are a couple of threaded holes up here towards the front of the bed. We're going to be using the second one for this spacer, so don't use this first one, use the second one. Now we're not going to tighten these all the way down, just want to put them tight enough to hold the bracket in place. Now let's go ahead and get that rear one installed. Again, we're using 2 of the M6 bolts with a flat washer on it, and you can just fit these into the end where the hole is at. Use your 4mm wrench and insert it into the last 2 holes in the bed. All right, and you can repeat this process for the other side. Now the next thing we need to determine is which type of mounting system we're going to be using for the main rail itself. Now up here in the front of the bed, we've got 2 holes here right in the corner. We've got 2 on the other side as well. Now we need to determine whether or not we have a threaded hole and an open hole or 2 open holes. Ours happens to have a threaded hole on the bottom and an open on the top, which means we're going to have to use one of these stud plates to fill in this top hole here. If you've got 2 open holes, then you're going to need 2 of these plates per side. And the way to fit these in is from the back side. There is an opening on the back where you can access the holes, and we'll be using a wire guide provided in the kit to be able to feed these stud plates in from the back side so that we can attach our main bar. So let's go ahead and get that installed. Now we're going to go ahead and set our main rack in place and get it pushed up against the front of the bed so that we can go ahead and insert those 2 bolts we were just talking about. So we're just going to set this in place and then slide it forward so that it's sitting up against the bulkhead of the bed. Now, once we've got that in place, we can use the M8 bolts with a flat washer into that lower threaded hole to hold it in place while we feed in the stud plate from earlier. So we'll go ahead and put this into that lower hole. And now we'll do the same thing for the other side, and then we'll feed in our stud plate for the top. Now here's the wire guide that we were talking about earlier that is supplied in the kit. And you'll notice it has like a spring coil on the end. That's what we're going to use to attach to our stud plate. So we'll just screw that in. It doesn't have to be very far. I usually like to go up to where the stud meets the end of the coil spring. Now what we'll do is we'll take the other end, feed that in through the front side of the bed here. There is an opening. Unfortunately, there's not enough room in there for you to use your hand to install the stud plate, which is why they provide the wire guide. So we just bent the end of it to be straight far enough that it will fit through the hole from the front. So we'll go ahead and insert that from the front side. And we can go ahead and pull that through. Now you want to go ahead and make sure that you hold that stud plate into the bracket here while you remove the wire guide. And we can unscrew our wire guide. Then we'll go ahead and install an M8 flat washer, again supplied in the kit, and an M8 nylock nut on the end. And we'll snug this up with our 13mm socket. Now you don't have to worry about holding the other side because of the plate itself. We'll lock it in. All right, with that installed, now we can go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. All right, now we can install one of our track mounting brackets for the front here. And to do that, we're going to be using one of these nut plates. We're going to slide in from the back side of the spacer, like so. And then using an M10 bolt supplied in the kit with a flat washer, we'll put it through this bracket here and into that nut plate. Now before we install our mounting bracket here, we're going to go ahead and tighten up our spacers using our 4mm Allen key. So just make sure that it's level and go ahead and tighten that up. Now we can go ahead and install our bracket using the nut plate and the supplied M10 bolt and flat washer. Now we can repeat that process for the other side. Next, we're going to install these foam pads onto these support bars here for our main rack. Now these pads are side specific, so you need to be very careful about making sure that you have the correct one for the correct side that you're on. So we've already chest fitted ours. Everything lines up the way it's supposed to. So we're going to go ahead and remove the backing and apply it to the bottom of this support panel. Now you just want to be careful when you place this, make sure that the holes line up with the rack. Everything lines up the way it's supposed to. Press down firmly all over the pad, make sure it adheres. And now repeat that process for the other side. All right, now we're going to go ahead and tighten down our rear spacer as well. And in case I didn't mention it earlier, double check the positioning of your rear spacer and make sure that this small hole here next to the center oblong hole is towards the front and not towards the rear. That'll be critical once we go to mount up our side mount bracket. So we'll go ahead and tighten this up with our 4mm Allen key. Now we'll go ahead and insert our nut plate from the front side, lining up the nut on this front hole. Go ahead and put our bracket on, and then using one of the supplied M10 bolts with a flat washer, we'll go ahead and attach that. Like I said, we'll leave that loose for now till we get everything else connected, and then we'll come back and tighten everything up. All right, now we're ready to start installing our side rails. Now, again, these are side specific, so you need to make sure you've got the correct one for the side that you're working on. So we'll go ahead and fit this up to our upright rack. And just do a quick check, make sure that your holes line up on your brackets and your rails themselves. And the rails will go to the outside of the brackets. So now we can go ahead and use our M6 bolts with a flat washer and insert that into the upright and through the bracket on the rail. And then we'll use another flat washer and an M6 nylock nut to secure it to the bottom. Now we can go ahead and set our side crossbar bracket into place, and it just sits in the top of the rear bracket like so. Now we've got one of these for each one of our brackets, so you'll have to do this 4 times. So we'll set it in on the rear side first, and then take one of our M10 carriage bolts, insert it from the outside, making sure that all of our holes line up and that the carriage bolt fits flush against the outside bracket, and then we'll install one of the M10 nylock nuts. Now with that in place, we can go ahead and do the other 3 on this side. All right, now we can do the front bracket. Set this crossbar bracket in place, insert our carriage bolt from the outside, and now you can repeat this process for the other side. All right, now that we've got everything installed on both sides, we can go ahead and install our cross rails. And to do that, we're just going to set them in place on both sides. And then using the supplied M10 long bolts with 2 flat washers and a nylock nut, we'll go ahead and secure those to the bracket. So we've got our 2 flat washers, 1 on each side, our nylock nut, and now you can repeat this process for the other 3 brackets. All right, now that we've got everything installed on here, double check your alignment, make sure everything is straight and it's where it needs to be. Once you're happy with that, then we can start tightening everything down. First thing we're gonna do is tighten these brackets here that support our side rails and also our cross brackets. So we'll use our 6mm Allen key and go ahead and tighten those up. And you can do that for the other side as well. And now we'll tighten down the nuts that connect our side rails to our main support rail. And for that, we're going to use our 10mm socket and our 4mm Allen key. And now you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, now for this next step, what we're going to do is tighten down these side bolts here, these carriage bolts. And because of the fact that our cross rails are installed, we're not going to be able to access those nuts to be able to tighten them. So we're just going to remove the bolt for our side rails temporarily. Lift that up out of the way. And then using a 17mm socket, making sure that our carriage bolts are flush on the outside, go ahead and tighten them up. Now we can go ahead and put our cross brace back in. Now we'll follow this same procedure for the other 3 brackets. All right, now we can tighten down our 2 bulkhead bolts using our 5mm Allen key and our 13mm socket. And you can repeat that for the other side as well. And finally, we can go ahead and tighten down our 2 crossbar bolts, one on this side, one on this side, and then do the same thing for the other side using a 17mm socket and a 16mm wrench. So the 16mm wrench goes on the bolt side and the 17 goes on the nut side. And now you can do that for the other side, and your install is now complete.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install of the Rugged Ridge Sports Rack fitting all 2020 and newer JT Gladiators, and you can find this right here at extremeterrain.com.